Morning, everybody. So this is going to be a quick little walkthrough tutorial explanation on what palindrome is and the strategy to solve it. This is mainly for the on-level classes who were asking about this, but I'm including a little bit for the advanced kids just as well. I'm still not solving the whole thing for you, but I'm giving you a pretty good explanation on where to go. So on level, they get to do keyboard input. Advanced, you're reading from the file just like we've done for Simon Says and fast food. For advanced students, don't forget you have to add the throws exception and you have to use your other scanner that we just picked up about 2 weeks ago now. So I've got both scanners ready depending on what you need. Again, whatever the case may be, use what you need to. For this example, I'm just going to hard code something. So I'm just going to say, here's my input, and it's madam. It's a very famous palindrome, but it also gives us a good example because there's lots of special characters to play around with. I've got spaces, commas, an apostrophe, and an exclamation point. I've also got differentiation between my capital and lowercase letters. So that those are all circumstances we're going to have to address in this program. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create two empty strings, okay? I'm not going to modify the input. The input is still necessary for a printer or print statement later on. So what I've done is I've made two empty strings. One that's going to be everything compressed forward, get rid of all the spaces, punctuation, capitalization if I need to, whatever I want. And the other one obviously is the same thing, but backwards, because that's what I need to check. Are they the same, both forwards and back? Okay. Part A right here, this is the exact code I gave you 2 classes ago, I think. This is just a simple name reversal or string reverse, okay? You figure out where the ending value is, which is length minus 1, and then you count downward until you hit 0. And if you do include 0, because that's our first index value. I have not changed this at any way, but I'm going to use this so that you can see how close and then what few things we change to modify it, okay? Because instead of printing every time just to reverse it, we will be building the strings, okay? Now, yeah, so I guess that pretty much covers it. So here we go. So if you notice, I've got 2 loops here. Okay, now, yes, it is possible to do these simultaneously. You just have to play around with how you're building, but for these circumstances, I've got them separate so you can see the difference, okay? So the first one, since this one was reversed up here, I'm reading backwards, and that is this part right here, okay? So I calculated what the end is, okay? I did it above, but I'm doing it again just so you can see it's there. I start at the length minus 1. I'm counting down. I go all the way into and including 0, okay? First thing I do is I grab one letter at a time, one character at a time, and you do have to use the 2-valued substring because otherwise you grab everything to the right, so as you go backwards, it will get exponentially bigger the substrings you grab, okay? And everybody seems really lost on these. This is a simple skip. Okay, so it's just an if test. Hey, if I figure out my letter is a space, I continue. Remember, that goes right back up to the top, iterates, and goes to the next value. Okay, so that's what I need to do. But if I've got a letter or a number or whatever I'm okay with, then I just add it to my string backwards. Okay, this is just a simple string addition. So it's like adding a letter at the end of your value. Okay, we did this back in Unit 2 before we ever had loops or if tests or anything like that. We just, concatenated together. And then I've just got a spacer just to let them know that I'm done. Oops. There we go. All right. Down here, this one's reading forward. So again, I'd start at 0. I'm including it, but this time I go to the less than end. Because when I'm using index counted, I don't ever actually reach that value. There's that many characters, but instead of counting at 1, index starts at 0. So that's why these Loops are slightly different is what they're covering. Okay. I do the exact same thing. I grab one character at a time. I do the same thing down here. This time I'm checking to see if it's a comma. If that happens, I continue. I skip the next one. And this time going forward, I build the string. Okay. So one build's going backwards up here. This build's going forwards, but they both will end up with only letters and numbers. Anything that we don't have a test for gets included. Okay. After that, we're done. Now we just need to do a simple test. Okay. So I print out the original input. Okay. Just so I can see where I started from, just like I showed you on the example. But rather than put them all to the side, which we could do, I'm just going to put them on the next line tabbed in so that they stand out a little bit. This is my way of interpreting it. You can do it however you need to. But what I am going to do real fast is I'm going to print them both just so you can see what we're dealing with. These will not work, okay, because I only put one test for each one, and because that's not all the special characters that are there, we've already talked about it. So I'm going to leave you to finish the rest, but I am going to show you how it looks. Okay. So here's what happened. So the first one took out the comma, the forward. Okay, notice there's no comma anymore. The backwards took out the spaces. So notice there's no space over here. We're on our way, but we're not actually finished to where it'll detect that they are equal yet. So we still got at least two things in each one. We've got the exclamation, apostrophe, comma over here. Here we've got the space, the apostrophe, and the exclamation. But here's our original phrase, and then tabbed over so you can tell it's related to it, it says it's not a palindrome. If I had everything tested, if I had them equal, yes, it would work just fine. So let me change my hard code up here. Race car. So that's a very simple one that we know works. So this should be no problem. I spell it R-A-C-E-C-A-R. Okay, that worked. Why did that not trigger? Oh, I said equals to that. My bad. No quotes. So string forward and string backward. There we go. Yeah, now triggered. So now we see that it's a palindrome. Okay. This is a very simple version of the test. There are several different ways to do it. You have access to loops. You can check each character in a row to see if it works. You can do several different ways depending on how your logic works. But this is a quick tutorial on basically the design. I've not coded everything. I've not finished it all, but that should get you started. Good luck.